Cantos 10 to 12 of Book 2 of the Ramayana of Valmiki, translated by Ralph T. H. Griffith. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Om123. Canto 10. Dasarath's Speech. As Queen Kaikeyi thus obeyed the sinful counsel of her maid, she sank upon the chamber floor, as sinks in anguish wounded sore an elephant beneath the smart of the wild hunter's venomed dart. The lovely lady in her mind resolved the plot her maid designed, and prompt to gain and risk to scan, she step by step approved the plan. Misguided by the humpback's guile, she pondered her resolve a while, as the fair path that bliss secured, the miserable lady lured. Devoted to her queen and swayed by hopes of gain and bliss, the maid rejoiced her lady's purpose known, and deemed the prize she sought her own. Then bent upon her purpose dire, Kaikeyi with her soul on fire, upon the floor lay, languid down, her brows contracted in a frown. The bright hued wreath that bound her hair, chains, necklets, jewels rich and rare, stripped off by her own fingers lay, spread on the ground in disarray. And to the floor a lustre land, as stars light up the firmament. Thus prostrate in the mourner's cell, in garb of war the lady fell, her long hair in a single braid, like some fair nymph of heaven dismayed. The monarch, Rama to install, with thoughtful care had ordered all, and now within his home withdrew, dismissing first his retinue. Now all the town was heard, thought he, what joyful rite the morn will see. So turned he to her bower to cheer, with the glad news his darling's ear. Majestic as the lord of night, when threatened by the dragon's might, bursts radiant on the evening sky, pale with the clouds that wender by. So Dasarath, great in fame, to Queen Kaikeyi's palace came. There parrots flew from tree to tree, and gorgeous peacocks wandered free, while ever and anon was heard the note of some glad water bird. Here loitered dwarf and humpbacked maid, their lute and here sweet music played. Here, rich in blossom, creepers twined over grots with wondrous art designed. There champak and asoka flowers hung glorious over the summer bowers, and mid the waving verdure rose gold, silver, ivory porticos. Through all the months in ceaseless tour the trees both fruit and blossom bore. With many a lake the grounds were graced, seeds gold and silver here were placed. Here every viand would the taste, it was a garden meet to vie, even with the home of gods on high. Within the mansion rich and vast, the mighty Dasarath passed, not there was his beloved queen, on her fair couch reclining seen. With love his eager pulses beat, for the dear wife he came to meet, and in his blissful hopes deceived. He sought his absent love and grieved, for never had she missed the hour of meeting in her sumptuous bower, and never had the king of man entered the empty room till then. Still urged by love and anxious thought, news of his favourite queen he sought, for never had his loving eyes found her or selfish or unwise. Then spoke at length the warder maid, with hands upraised and sore afraid. My lord and king, the queen has sought the mourner's cell with raised distraught. The words the warder maiden said, he heard with soul disquieted, and thus as fiercer grief assailed, his troubled senses well nigh failed. Consumed by torturing fires of grief, the king, the world's imperial chief, his lady lying on the ground, in most unqueenly posture found. The aged king, all pure within, saw the young queen resolved on seeing, low on the ground his own sweet wife, to him far dearer than his life, like some fair creeping plant uptorn, or like a maid of heaven forlorn, a nymph of air or goddess sent from Swarga down in banishment. As some wild elephant who tries to soothe his consort as she lies, struck by the hunter's venomed dart, so the great king, disturbed in heart, strove with soft hand and fond caress to soothe his darling queen's distress, and in his love addressed with sighs the lady of the lotus eyes. I know not, queen, why thou shouldst be thus angered to the heart with me. Say who has alighted thee, or whence has come the cause of such offence. that in the dust thou liest low, and rendest my fond heart with woe, as if some goblin of the night had struck thee with a deadly blight, and cast foul influence on her whose spells my loving bosom steer. I have physicians famed for skill, each trained to cure some special ill. My sweetest lady, tell thy pain, and they shall make thee well again. Whom, darling, wouldst thou punished see, or whom enriched with lordly fee? Weep not, my lovely queen, and stay this grief that wears thy frame away. Speak, and the guilty shall be freed, the guiltless be condemned to bleed, the poor enriched, the rich abased, the low set high, the proud disgraced. My lords and I thy will obey, all slaves who own thy sovereign sway, and I can never my heart incline to check in aught one wish of thine. Now by my life I pray thee tell the thoughts that in thy bosom dwell, the power and might thou knowest well, should from thy breast all doubt expel. I swear by all my merit won, speak and thy pleasure shall be done. For as the world's wide bounds extend, my glorious empire knows no end. Mine are the tribes in eastern lands, and those who dwell on Sindhu's sands. Mine is Saurashtra far away, Savira's realm admits my sway. My best the southern nations fear, the Angas and the Vagas here, and as Lord Paramount I reign over Magadh and the Machia's plain, Koshal and Kasi's wide domain, all rich in treasures of the mine, in golden corn, sheep, goats, and kine. Choose what thou wilt, Kaikeyi, dance, but tell me, O my darling, whence arose thy grief, and it shall fly like hoar frost when the sun is high. She, by his loving words consoled, longed her dire purpose to unfold, and sought with sharper pangs to wring the bosom of her lord the king. Canto 11. The Queen's Demand. To him, enthralled by love, and blind, pierced by his darts, who shakes the mind, Kaikeyi with remorseless breast her great purpose thus expressed: O king, no insult or neglect have I endured or disrespect. One wish I have, and fate would see, that longing granted, Lord, by thee. Now pledge thy word if thou incline to listen to this prayer of mine. Then I with confidence will speak, and thou shalt hear the boon I seek. Ere she had ceased, the monarch fell, a victim to the lady's spell, and to the deadly snare she set, sprang like a roebuck to the net. Her lover raised her drooping head, smiled, playing with her hair, and said, Hast thou not learnt, wild dame, till now, that there is none so dear as thou? To me thy loving husband save, my Rama, bravest of the brave. By him, my race's high-souled heir, by him, whom none can match, I swear. Now speak the wish that on thee weighs, by him whose right is length of days, whom if my fond paternal eye saw not 1 hour, I needs must die. I swear by Rama, my dear son, speak, and thy bidding shall be done. Speak, darling, if thou choose request to have the heart from out my breast. Regard my words, sweet love, and name the wish thy mind thinks fit to frame. Nor let thy soul give way to doubt, my power should drive suspicion out. Yea, by my merits won, I swear. Speak, darling, I will grant thy prayer. The queen, ambitious, overjoyed to see him by her plot decoyed, more eager still her aims to reach, spoke her abominable speech. A boon thou grantest, nothing loath, and swearest with repeated oath. Now let the 30 gods and 3 my witnesses with Indra be. Let sun and moon and planets hear, heaven quarters, day and night give ear. The mighty world thou art outspread, with birds of heaven and demons dread, the ghosts that walk in midnight shade, and household gods our present aid. A every being great and small, to hear and mark the oath I call. When thus the archer king was bound, with treacherous arts and oaths announed, she to her bounteous lord subdued, by binding love her speech renewed. Remember, king, that long past day of gods and demons battle fray, and how thy foe in doubtful strife had nigh bereft thee of thy life. Remember it was only I preserved thee when about to die, and thou for watchful love and care wouldst grant my first and second prayer. Those offered boons pledged with thee then, I now demand, O King of man. Of thee, O monarch, good and just, whose righteous soul observes each trust. If thou refuse thy promise sworn, I die despised before the morn. These rites in Rama's name began, transfer them and enthrone my son. The time is come to claim at last the double boon of days long past, when gods and demons meet in fight, and thou wouldst fain my care requite. Now forth to Dandaka's forest drive, thy Rama for 9 years and 5, and let him dwell a hermit there, with deerskin coat and matted hair. Without a rival let my boy the empire of the land enjoy, and let mine eyes ere morning see thy Rama to the forest flee. Canto 12. Dasarath's Lament. The monarch, as Kaikeyi pressed with cruel words her dire request, stood for a time absorbed in thought, while anguish in his bosom wrought. Does some wild dream my heart assail, or do my troubled senses fail? Does some dire portent scare my view, or frenzy stroke my soul subdue? Thus as he thought his troubled mind, in doubt and dread, no rest could find, distressed and trembling like a deer, who sees the dreaded tigress near. On the bare grounds his limbs he threw, and many a long deep sigh he drew. Like a wild snake, with fury blind, by charms within a ring confined. Once as the monarch's fury woke, shame on thee from his bosom broke, and then in sense bewildering pain, he fainted on the ground again. At length, when slowly strength returned, he answered as his eyeballs burned, with the wild fury of his ire, consuming her, as it were, with fire. Fell traitress, thou whose thoughts design the utter ruin of my line, what wrong have I or Rama done? Speak, murderess, speak, thou wicked one. Seeks he not evermore to please thee with all son-like courtesies? By what persuasion art thou led to bring this ruin on his head? Ah me, that fondly unaware I brought thee home my life to share, called daughter of a king in truth, a serpent with a venomed tooth. What fault can I pretend to find in Rama, praised by all mankind, that I my darling should forsake? No, take my life, my glory take, let I the queen be from me torn, but not my well-loved eldest born. Him but to see his highest bliss, and death itself his face to miss. The world may sunless stand, the grain may thrive without the genial rain, but if my Rama be not nigh, my spirit from its frame will fly. Enough, thy impious plan forego, O thou who plottest sin and war. My head before thy feet I kneel, and pray thee some compassion feel. O wicked dame, what can have led thy heart to dare a plot so dread? Perchance thy purpose is to sound the grace thy son with me has found. Perchance the words that, all these days, thou still hast said in Rama's praise, were only feigned, designed to cheer with flatteries a father's ear. Soon as thy grief, my queen, I knew, my bosom felt thy anguish too. In empty halls art thou possessed, and subject to another's hest. Now on Ikshaku's ancient race falls foul disorder and disgrace. If thou, O queen, whose heart so long has loved the good, should choose the wrong, not once, O large-eyed dame, hast thou been guilty of offence till now, nor said a word to make me grieve. Now will I now thy sin believe. With thee my Rama used to hold like place with Bharat lofty souled, as thou so often, when the pair were children yet, wouldst fain declare. And can thy rigorous soul endure that Rama glorious, pious, pure, should to the distant wilds be sent for 14 years of banishment? Yea, Rama Bharat's self exceeds in love to thee and son-like deeds, and for deserving love of thee, as Bharat even so is he, who better than that chieftain may obedience, love, and honor pay? Thy dignity with care protect, thy slightest word and wish respect. Of all his countless followers none can breathe a word against my son. Of many thousands not a dame can hint reproach or whisper blame. All creatures feel the sweet control of Rama's pure and gentle soul. The pride of Manu's race he binds, to him the people's grateful minds. He wins the subjects with his truth, the poor with gifts and gentle ruth. He teaches with his docile will, the foeman with his archer skill. Truth, purity, religious zeal, the hand to give, the heart to feel, the love that never betrays a friend, the rectitude that naught can bend, knowledge and meek obedience grace, my Rama, pride of Raghu's race. Canst thou thine impious plot design against him in whom these virtues shine, whose glory with the sages vies, peer of the gods who rule the skies? From him no harsh or bitter word to pain one creature have I heard. And how can I my son address for thee with words of bitterness? Have mercy, O Queen, some pity show, to see my tears of anguish flow, and listen to my mournful cry, a poor old man who soon must die. Whatever this sea-god land can boast, of rich and rare from coast to coast, to thee, my Queen, I give it all, but oh, thy deadly words recall. O sea, my suppliant hands retreat, again my lips are on thy feet. Save Rama, save my darling child, nor kill me with this scene defiled. He grovelled on the ground and lay, to burning grief a senseless prey, and ever and anon assailed by floods of woe, he wept and wailed, striving with eager speed to gain the margent of his sea of pain. With fiercer words, she fiercer yet, the helpless fathers pleading met. O monarch, if thy soul repent, the promise and thy free consent, how wilt thou in the world maintain thy fame for truth unsmirched with stain? When gathered kings with thee converse, and bid thee all the tale rehearse, what wilt thou say, O truthful king, in answer to their questioning? She, to whose love my life I owe, who saved me smitten by the foe, Kaikeyi, for her tender care, was cheated of the oath I sware. Thus wilt thou answer, and forsworn, will draw on thee the prince's scorn. Learn from the tale, the hawk and dove, how strong for truth was Saive's love. Pledged by his word the monarch gave his flesh the suppliant bird to save. So King Alarka gave his eyes, and gained a mansion in the skies. The sea himself his promise keeps, and never beyond his limit sweeps. My deeds of old again recall, nor let thy bond dishonored fall. The rights of truth thou wouldst forget, thy Rama on the throne to set, and let thy days in pleasure glide, fond King Kaushalya by thy side. Now call it by what name thou wilt, justice, injustice, virtue, guilt, thy word and oath remain the same, and thou must yield what thus I claim. If Rama be anointed, I this very day will surely die. Before thy face will poison drink, and lifeless at thy feet will sink. Yea, better far to die than stay, alive to see one single day the crowds before Kaushalya stand, and hail her queen with reverent hand. Now by my son, myself I swear, no gift, no promise whatsoever, my steadfast soul shall now content, but only Rama's banishment. So far she spake by rage impelled, and then the queen deep silence held. He heard her speech full fraught with ill, but spoke no word, bewildered still. Gazed on his love, once held so dear, who spoke unlovely reed to hear. Then as he slowly pondered over the queen's resolve and oath she swore, once sighing forth, "Ah Rama," he fell prone as falls a smitten tree, his senses lost like one insane, faint as a sick man, weak with pain, or like a wounded snake dismayed, so lay the king whom art obeyed. Long burning sighs he slowly heaved, as conquered by his war he grieved, and thus with tears and sobs between, his sad faint words addressed the queen. By whom, Kaikeyi, wast thou taught this flattering hope with ruin fraught? Have goblins seized thy soul, O dame, who thus canst speak and feel no shame? Thy mind with sin is sicklied over, from thy first youth never seen before. A good and loving wife wast thou, but all, alas, is altered now. What terror can have seized thy breast, to make thee frame this dire request, that Bharat over the land may reign, and Rama in the woods remain? Turn from evil ways, O turn, and thy perfidious counsels spurn, if thou would fain a favour do, to people, Lord and Bharat too. O wicked traitress, fierce and vile, who lovest deeds of sin and guile, what crime or grievance dost thou see, what fault in Rama or in me? Thy son will never the throne accept, if Rama from his rights be kept, for Bharat's heart more firmly yet than Rama's is on justice set. How shall I say, go forth and brook, upon my Rama's face to look, see his pale cheek and ashy lips, dimmed like the moon in sad eclipse? How see the plan, so well prepared, when prudent friends my counsel shared, all ruined like a host laid low, beneath some foeman's murderous blow? What will this gathered princess say, from regions near and far away? Overlong and yours the monarch's reign, or now he is a child again, when many a good and holy sage, in scripture versed, revered for age, shall ask for Rama, what shall I, unhappy, what shall I reply? By Queen Kaikeyi long distressed, I drove him forth and dispossessed. Although herein the truth I speak, they all will hold me false and weak. What will Kausalya say when she demands her son exiled by me? Alas, what answer shall I frame, or how console the injured dame? She like a slave on me attends, and with a sister's care she blends a mother's love, a wife's, a friend's. In spite of all her tender care, her noble son, her face most fair, another queen I could prefer, and for thy sake neglected her. But now, O queen, my heart is grieved, for love and care by thee received, even as the sickening wretch repents his dainty meal and condiments. And how will Queen Sumitra trust the husband whom she finds unjust, seeing my Rama-driven hands dishonored and for no offense? Ah, the Baidahan bride will hear a double woe, a double fear, two whelming sorrows at one breath, her lord's disgrace, his father's death. Mine aged bosom she will wring, and kill me with her sorrowing, sad as a fair nymph left to weep, deserted on Himalaya's steep. For short will be my days, I ween, when I with mournful eyes have seen my Rama wandering forth alone, and heard dear Sita sob and moan. Ah me, my fond belief I rue, vile traitress, loved as good and true, as one who in his thirst has quaffed, deceived by looks, a deadly draught. Ah, that hast slain me, murderess, while soothing my soul with words of guile, as the wild hunter kills the deer, lured from the brake his song to hear. Soon every honest tongue will fling reproach on the dishonest king, the people scorn in every street the seller of his child will meet, and such dishonor will be mine as whelms a Brahman drunk with wine. Ah me, for my unhappy fate, compelled thy words to tolerate such voice sent to scourge a crime committed in some distant time. For many a day with sinful care I cherished thee, thou sin and snare, kept thee, unwitting like a cord, destined to bind its hapless lord. Mine hours of ease I spent with thee, nor deemed my love my death would be, while like a heedless child I played, on a black snake my hand I laid. A cry from every mouth will burst, and all the world would hold me crushed, because I saw my high-souled son unkinged, unfathered, and undone. The king, by power of love beguiled, is weaker than a foolish child, his own beloved son to make an exile for a woman's sake. By chaste and holy vows restrained, by reverend teachers duly trained, when he his virtue's fruit should taste, he falls by sin and woe disgraced. Two words will all his answer be, when I pronounce the stern decree, hence Rama to the woods sway. All he will say is, I obey. Oh, if he would my will withstand, when banished from his home and land, this were a comfort in my war. But he will never do this, I know. My Rama to the forest fled, and curses take upon my head. Grim death will bear me hence away, his world abominated prey. When I am gone, and Rama too, how wilt thou those I love pursue? What vengeful scene will be designed against the queens I leave behind? When thou hast slain her son and me, Kaushalya soon will follow. She will sink beneath her sorrow's weight, and die like me disconsolate. Exist, Kaikeyi, in thy pride, and let thy heart be gratified, when thou my queens and me hast hauled, and children to the underworld. Soon wilt thou rule as empress over my noble house unvexed before, but then to wild confusion left, of Rama and of me bereft, if Bharat to thy plan consent, and long for Rama's banishment. Never let his hands presume to pay the funeral honours to my clay. Vile foe, thou cause of all mine ill, obtain at last thy cause to ill. A widow soon shalt thou enjoy the sweets of empire with thy boy. O princess, sure some evil fate first brought thee here to devastate, in whom the night of ruin lies, veiled in a consort's fair disguise. The scorn of all and deepest shame will long pursue my hated name, and dire disgrace on me will press, misled by thee to wickedness. How shall my Rama, whom before his elephant or chariot bore, now with his feet a wanderer tread, the forest wilds around him spread? How shall my son, to please whose taste the deftest cooks with earrings graced, with rivalry and jealous care, the dainty meal and cates prepare, how shall he now his life sustain, with acid fruit and woodland grain? He spends his time unvexed by cares, and robes of precious texture wears. How shall he, with one garment round, his limbs recline upon the ground? Whose was this plan, this cruel thought, unheard till now, with ruin fraught, to make thy son Ayodhya's king, and send my Rama wandering? Shame, shame on women, vile, untrue, their selfish ends they still pursue. Not all of womankind I mean, but more than all this wicked queen. O worthless, cruel, selfish dame, I brought thee home, my plague and woe. What fault in me hast thou to blame, or in my son who loves thee so? Fond wives may from their husbands flee, and fathers may their sons desert, but all the world would rave to see my Rama touched with deadly heart. I joy his very step to hear, as though his godlike form I viewed, and when I see my Rama near, I feel my youth again renewed. There might be life without sun, yea, even if Indra sent no rain, but were my Rama banished, none would, so I think, alive remain. A foe that longs my life to take, I brought thee here, my death to be, caressed thee long, a venom snake, and through my folly die, ah me! Rama and me and Lakshman slay, and then with Bharat rule the state. So bring the kingdom to decay, and found on those thy lord who hate. Plotter of war, for evil bred, for such a speech why do not all thy teeth from out thy wicked head, split in 1,000 pieces fall? My Rama's words are ever kind, he knows not how to speak in ire. Then how canst thou presume to find a fault in him whom all admire? Yield to despair, go mad or die, or sink within the rifted earth, thy fell request will I deny, thou shamer of thy royal birth. Thy longer life I scarce can bear, thou ruin of my home and race, who wouldst my heart and heartstrings tear, keen as a razor, false and base. My life is gone, why speak of joy? For what without my son were sweet? Spare, lady, him thou canst destroy, I pray thee as I touch thy feet. He fell, and wept with wild complaint, heart-struck by her presumptuous speech, but could not touch, so weak and faint, the cruel feet he strove to reach. End of Cantos 10 to 12.
health, health.